Okay, so now let's come to the next point. Let's hear about what you are doing with Agile Data Engine and how you are actually implementing all this stuff and how you're getting more value out of data. This is always my favorite part of any conference, when we get to talk to you, our customers, and when you talk about what you are doing with data. And ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome up on stage our good customers, Juha and Niko Alanko. Come on up, guys. We'll just start redecorating our house here. Juha.
Thank you.
Niko, thank you. So we have to make sure that we seat you guys on the right. So let's move on to the next slide so that you guys can see. Doesn't work. Technology. Oops. One too many. There we go. You can take a seat. Yeah, perfect. We're good. Here we are. Here we are. So, do you guys know them? You don't, right? So let's get started with introduction. Niko, do you want to get started? Who are you and what do you do?
Yeah, sure. As you can see, my name is Niko Alanko, and I work as a concept owner of data platforms at Nokian Tires. I have been working there for a little bit over a year at this time, and I come from a data engineering, data architecture background from a different company. What else do you need to know about me? Well, I'm a huge nerd. I love technology and all other nerdy stuff. And I like to play with home automation and all that kinds of things. And one thing that I, for some reason, really want to mention is that I recently bought myself a project car because I like to do something with my hands, which I can't do, at my daily job. So that's me, in short.
Very good. We have a nerd. Do we have any other nerds here in the audience today? Two, I see two. Yeah, perfect. That's good. And then a third one here.
That's a little bit less than I thought. But.
Yeah. Juha, what about you?
So my name is Juha, and I work in the Finnish energy company Gasum as a solution lead for data and analytics. And it means that I look after the processes, technologies, and people who are involved in the development of reporting and analytics. I've been in Gasum, I think, 8 years in different roles, but I come from like an energy markets background, which has then drifted more or less towards data and analytics. And fun fact, like you mentioned that Excel turned 40. So my history with Excel actually goes back 30 years. About that time I went to school. I learned to read, and the very next thing was that I was learning Excel formulas in Excel version 1 on an Apple Macintosh.
I would say it doesn't get any nerdier than that, huh?
Wow.
Very good. And you're also into home automation, I understand?
Yeah, that's something we have in common. And yeah, coming from this like energy markets background, of course, then I have built my own like power price optimization system that steers the heating and solar panels in my house.
We've got two nerds sitting here, so that's really good. Cool, then we'll have a different panel later today once the bar opens where you can do the discussion about home automation.
Yeah.
And other nerdy stuff, yeah. Very good. Cool, so you guys have ADE in-house, obviously, and but it's not always been that way. As a matter of fact, Niko, at Nokian Tires, you have a bit of a two-split house at the moment. You have a legacy environment with not just one legacy data warehouse, but multiple, and then you have one current environment where you're already in the cloud, where you're using ADE. Can you maybe describe just at a very high level, just a couple of points, how is it on the dark side, on the other side, on the on-prem side? What's happening there? How do you develop and how do you get value out of data there at the moment?
Well, to put it in short, I feel like the dark side is a, well, if you have seen kind of legacy data, these solutions, they're usually pretty technologically heavy and developer heavy solutions where it's kind of a black box to the business themselves. What goes on in there? It's comes into the developer's hands, happens, and then business uses that. That's kind of the easy way to describe that. And when compared to the new platform, of course, we're still very much in the project phase. I wouldn't call it kind of complete production quality platform yet. It's close to that, but not yet. But it's getting closer to a point where we can actually develop together with business. And that's, I feel like, the main difference there.
Okay, we'll get to that in a second. What about you? So you guys got started around 3-4 years ago with ADE. How was it before?
Yeah, well, we had a data warehouse also before, and well, to start with, we also did data vault modeling there, as we also do currently. But we were sold the idea that you could actually do it manually, writing all the loads and stuff that happens in data vault just by hand. And but I think we were quite naive when we thought that it's possible like that, because then when the thing started to grow, it became almost impossible to maintain. And yeah, in the end, then and then together with that, also the way of working was heavily project based. So the threshold of to make any incremental changes or further development was very difficult, because you basically had to make it as a project and you had to get approval and funding before you could actually do anything. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we then concluded that that's not really the way to go, and then decided to ramp that down and then start off with ADE, and yeah, that was about 3 years ago.
So you just raised an interesting aspect, that project-based. So meaning you probably had long delivery cycles, or how did that work?
Yeah, the delivery cycles were long, and in project-based development, also there's not so much iteration about what the product looks like, mm-hmm. and then but more so that you first do the spec. Then the developers go into their chamber and work for a pretty long time, probably. Yeah. As it was done manually, then it took very long time to mm-hmm. Understand where you actually had to poke the code, and then they come out with something, and the business needs to wait for a long time. And if the result is not exactly as it was expected to go, then you have to go all the way back, or you start these discussions that are these changes even okay, or do they fit to the budget? And yeah, not really the way to go.
Yeah, it's wait times. You're nodding. Wait times are not really good for the business, right? Also for the data culture, actually, for that matter, right? So I mean, we heard some of those aspects earlier. So
yeah, I just was nodding that that sounds very familiar in a way to have these kind of requirements given, and then put to the development pipeline and waiting for how long ever, and then we'll see the result after that. And if it's not right, then it goes back and it just does as you mentioned. That sounds familiar.
Sounds familiar. Anybody else have this issue? Oh, Greg, I hope not. Yeah. Okay, so that's the past, and you also still have a little bit of this left. So tell us, what type of setup do you currently have? I mean, maybe you're one to start, but with you, it's fairly clean cuts. You just basically cut everything off and moved it to the cloud. What's your current setup?
Yeah.
Describe the technical environment.
Yeah, and to give a bit of background, so it's like an enterprise data warehouse that we manage with ADE, and the use case is to integrate data from different business applications into one place, so that we have one source for reporting and analytics. And the target database is Azure SQL databases at the moment, and yeah, that's powerful enough for our use case.
Okay. What about you?
Yeah, so our two main platforms are the dark side, as you mentioned, based on Microsoft SQL databases and Informatica, and then there are these SSAS models, SSIS packages, and all those goodies there. And the new one is Azure-based, where we have Snowflake as our main data warehouse, ADF as an extraction tool, and then, which did I mention? ADF as an extraction tool and ADE as a transformation tool there, and then Power BI as the main kind of reporting platform for the data. Of course, there are other use cases as well, but these are the main ones.
Okay, cool.
And I could maybe also add that, we also use ADF and then Power BI for reporting. This work quite well together.
Okay, great. So then you guys got started with ADE right from the beginning with your cloud project. Is that correct? So when did you get started, and how are things today? If you contrast this to what you just described earlier, how do you develop today?
Was that question good to me?
Yeah, whoever wants to take it, yeah.
When I came to Nokian Tires, ADE was already in use. I was kind of, brought in. So I can't really give you the exact history of how things worked, but what I can see is that the development pipeline looks completely different, naturally compared to the old one, where as I mentioned, it's technologically heavy and kind of this black box for business. But with the new platform, it gives up. My colleague mentioned that it allows us to manage the environments in a much more easy manner, and that's kind of the main thing that comes to me, and also the kind of problem solving as well. I see these two different worlds in my position, where in one we have these layers of logic divided into different systems, and problem solving is at times a nightmare, to be honest. But this sort of thing doesn't really happen with ADE. We have kind of this one place where we can kind of track through the data, and we can find the problem that way. Not sure if that answered your question. I might have hallucinated a bit, but
that is perfectly okay in the age of AI. So everybody can hallucinate a little bit. You just raised an interesting aspect. So I guess you're alluding to the fact when you look at the old world very often in companies, people tend to make changes at the BI layer, sometimes at the data layer. It varies, and we have multiple different layers within the data warehouse. So before, you guys were making changes in multiple different areas and then debugging or figuring out where to make changes. Is that what I understood correctly from you?
Yeah, during development time, kind of figuring out where we need to make the changes, and when some issues do happen, kind of tracking down the root cause of the issue is the difficult part.
Yeah,
because when we can see some problems, for example, in Power BI, we can't really be sure where the root cause of the issue is. And when we have these different systems with logic, complex logic in each one of them, kind of tracking down one entity of data is a bit hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a common occurrence. And now in the new world, you keep everything clean in your new cloud data warehouse, and most of the changes are being done within ADE in the data warehouse rather than at the BI layer. Correct?
Yes. Apart from some examples, but as a rule of thumb, yes.
Very good. Very good. Juha, what about you? I mean, when we got ready for this, you described very nicely how you develop now. I mean, you mentioned you were project-based. How is it now with ADE?
Yeah, well, with ADE also the way of working was totally changed, and so it was, and maybe the change there was like like at least as big as the technological change. So we like started a centralized like data function in the company that took over the like management of the data development agenda, like taking in all the development requests from the different sides of the business, and which then like prioritizes them and sees like where we get like the biggest impact. And we changed the project-based way of working into an agile model where we have like fixed resources for the development. And we call internally our way of working as data ops. And it combines like both the development and the operational side of how we then support all the solutions that are like published for the users.
Very interesting. Data ops, that's a good term for sure. I mean, we support data ops with our platform. You mentioned something earlier. If I can just drill down on this, this project-based, and also you mentioned you had Data Vault implemented in a manual fashion.
Yeah.
When you and I talked, you also mentioned something which is quite interesting: the attitude of the developers when new requirements came in. How has this changed now?
Well, in the old data warehouse, I think that like there, like you could describe the data engineering as plumbing. It wasn't like very pleasant. It was like dirty and smelly when you had to go and like
can you smell
see
it?
how things are like under the hood. But it's quite different now because, well, with ADE, like you like work on a bit like higher level, like kind of like more on the metadata level, like what sort of entities you have and what sort of relationships there are, and how should the data be transformed. And then the like tool does like it generates the code like for you. And so this sort of like quite like monotonic stuff comes like out of the tool, and then the developers can more think about like focus on the actual like business challenges and understanding like the problems they're trying to solve instead of like getting stuck there in writing some boilerplate code.
And I guess the attitude changes with that as well, right? I mean, if I look at my personal life, whenever something's complicated, or actually not complicated, but more complex, whenever something's complex, I personally always have a resistance to do something. It's like whenever you really don't know how to solve something, right? Do you notice that in your developers?
Well, it's still like the work to do the development, so I think like they do it, but I wouldn't say that it's not very like motivating. So and I think the motivation is really important to like also for like quality and keeping like the team together.
Yeah. So then basically in the new world with ADE, you notice that the complexity is being removed, and then the people are more open towards developing solutions focusing on the problems rather than on the plumbing, right?
Yeah. So I think like the tasks then are like more maybe more rewarding to work on.
Which is to the point that I made earlier. I think it's really important that we put the joy into data work, because to me it is something that is immensely cool. It delivers a tremendous amount of value. I mean, Niko, how do you feel about this joy factor in data work?
Well,
you just got attacked by a fly, by the way.
Yeah, but I'm an engineer first and a business person second. So I love working with data and I love solving complex problems. That's what kind of keeps me in the flow state. I love that. And I do feel like solving complex problems when it comes to actual business requirements is rewarding, but solving complex problems, moving this piece of data from here to there, that's not really a motivating problem, even though it might be a hard problem to solve.
Yep, fully agree with that. It's usually the complexity that kills the motivation, and also I think is a bit toxic for data culture. If people feel like once they start touching data, it's not rewarding or it's really cumbersome, it kills the culture from my perspective. I mean, that's my own experience. I've been an end user as well, and whenever it was complicated, complex, I didn't enjoy it that much. Yeah. Very good. Let's change topics a little bit. So on Monday, did we have anybody I asked this earlier, who was at the Helsinki Data Week and saw Joe Rees' presentation? Quite a few. So we talked about data modeling. Do you guys data model?
Yes.
Can you say this a little bit firmer?
Well, I mean, we're Finnish, so
yeah.
And answer the question. Yes,
you data model.
Yes, we do.
So, what do you do? Do you do mushroom model, freestyle modeling, flat tables?
Well, we use in the new world data vault modeling as a base, and then kind of this differently modeled reporting layer on top of that. Not really. Well, that's it. That's what to do.
Excuse me. And data vault in the cloud data warehouse, also on-prem?
Well, we have this data vault-esque kind of model in the old world as well. I don't think it's pure data vault, but data vault modeling in the cloud, yes.
Okay. What about you? Data vault before, but
we do data vault also currently in the enterprise data warehouse, and I would say that like we have put quite a lot of effort into the modeling, like from the business perspective. So we like whenever we start with like the development of a new solution, we demand that like there is somebody like representing the business needs, and then sit down with these people and want to have them explain that like, so what is this data actually about, and like what are the business concepts that the data describes. And like with business concept, I mean like some words, like typically nouns that are used to describe the business processes and what are like the language of the business, and then like starting from the business concepts, then we do like conceptual data models together with the business, which like create links between these concepts, and then this is like then the blueprint for implementing the model in the data vault. And once you have done that and then loaded the data, you actually like have a very strong link from like the business terminology to the source systems and to the like individual data tables. And I think this is a very powerful like communication tool also. Like when the data engineers talk with the business, and they just like look at the data model that, okay, like we talk about, let's say an agreement or order. So it has like this very like clear definition of what it means and what data is connected to it. So I think like this like facilitates the development and communication a lot. And yeah, I think there are like lots of uses also for the metadata that then like kind of like resides in ADE and what you can do with it.
Very cool. So you put a lot of effort into this model. So I guess this didn't happen overnight, right? This is not a half-year project or a year project. So you must have been thinking about these concepts for quite a while then, right? Within Gasum?
Yeah. Well, this is something that we decided to do like from the very beginning when we like started with ADE, that like it's like part of the process that we defined, that whenever like we come across some new data that like we haven't seen in the data function, then we always like identify the business concepts. We do the conceptual data modeling, and then we add it to the like data vault model, and it has grown like piece by piece, and now it's quite big and covers like I would say like a lot of the like concepts and terms used by the business and the related data.
I must say that I'm a little bit jealous of that because we're in such early stages at the moment, so we can't really kind of see that yet. We have lots of work to do, but you definitely give us something to think about with that.
What would you say are the top benefits of this approach? You already mentioned communication, probably clarity.
Yeah, communication, clarity, and then also like going a bit more to the like technical side. Then when you want to like create some like data products or data marts like from your raw data, then like once you have done this like very clear model, it's very easy to just like look into it and see that okay, I need like this and this data, and this is the way how I can like join them to like build the data mart I want to publish. So it then like makes the development in your like reporting layer way easier.
And just a technical question on the front, you guys, in terms of your Data Vault architecture, and I mean, I'm personally of the belief whether you use Data Vault or some other methodology, it really depends on the situation, but it's important to have some kind of thoughts behind it, right? So rather than freestyle modeling and just put in whatever.
When I first started in data engineering, I saw that a lot. The freestyle modeling, yeah.
How have you guys set this up? Do you guys have a raw vault and a business vault and a presentation layer? How have you implemented this?
Yeah, that sounds like us pretty much.
Yep.
You know,
okay.
To the teeth.
Yeah.
We have data vault, business data vault, and then this reporting modeling. Yes.
You too?
Yeah, same here. So staging, raw vault, business vault, and the publish layer.
Okay, cool, super. Very interesting. So then let's move on. You've just also mentioned something really interesting, the communication piece. One thing that we've noticed in successful projects is the interaction between the data people and the business people is really important. Can you talk a little bit about that and maybe also share how ADE is helping in this context? I mean, do you agree with my statements that it's important for the business and the data people to have good alignment?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, kind of the mutual agreement on what we can do with the data builds trust, you know, on the data, so that people trust the data. And I can see the differences. Well, as I mentioned, we're still a little bit in the project phase with the new platform, but I can see the difference between the old and new, where the old has been developed for God knows how many years before I came to the house, and we have these black boxes of logic, and kind of the mutual understanding is really not there, you know, as such. But the new platform, I must say that the kind of the way of working is the most important part in that, I feel. But ADE really supports it, supports the new way of working naturally, kind of to do things in a way that allows us to have this discussion, communication.
Yeah, I also think that the communication is like really important because like all the like data development is done for the sake of the business. So it's very important that like the developers like talk like with the like business counterparts directly, and I think it facilitates the like learning so that the data people like they understand the like business's objectives and worries and where they want to get, and then like I think, well, it for one like increases the motivation and maybe like commitment, and because then you also like understand like what's the like impact of the technical solution in the bigger context, and probably it also improves the quality of the technical solutions when the engineers, for example, understand like how the piece is going to be used.
Yeah, fully agree. And then one final follow-up question to that. How often do you guys deploy? Does that play a role in there as well? I mean, based on my own experience, long wait times, especially in this current state where everybody expects instantaneous gratification. It's a bit, how does this affect, or I mean, first of all, how often do you deploy roughly?
I think it depends like a bit on like what sort of development there is going on. But with ADE, like it's very easy to like do development in very small increments and then just like commit them and deploy and test, get feedback, and then repeat. So it's like very streamlined with ADE, and I think that when like there are many like parallel use cases in development at the same time, then there can be like multiple deployments per day.
Very good. Same with you?
Yeah, our dark side has a kind of release cycle of 1 month, if I remember correctly. But the deployments are being done erratically at some point. And
hopefully not Friday afternoon.
Well, things have happened sometimes. But in the new platform, we can be much more flexible with that. And we try to at least avoid the 1 month cycle. I mean, that's a pretty long time.
Yeah, people really don't appreciate waiting. Let's get back to the joy of doing data work. I'm personally of the firm belief that complexity takes the joy out of anything that you do in life. Can you comment on how ADE might have helped you reduce complexity in your overall setup?
I can go first.
Please.
As I mentioned, we have, in the old world, we have multiple layers with logic, complex logic in each one of them. And in the new platform, we have one place where we have all the logic in. And the problems that we solve in the new world are more in the lines of actual business problems. And in the old world, the problems that we solve usually, as I mentioned, are somehow related to how we move data from one place to another, and this doesn't solve anything business related yet. So I feel like it's a completely different problem that we usually have these complexities in them. The old platform is mature. Most of the kind of the complex business problems have already been solved in some way. Are they ideal way? I don't know, maybe not. But the joy in the data work, I feel like, is solving the business problems, as I mentioned. No, not the moving of the data problem.
Anything from your side?
Well, I like to draw a distinction between like complexity and something being complicated. And some problems I think are just like complex by nature, but you don't have to make them complicated. Yeah. And I think that it was ADE, like looking at kind of like the tool set, like it has like lots of functionality in one package. So like the data development and then also the orchestration of the loads and like kind of like the execution of everything and like having everything in like one package makes it at least like easier than having like more tools that you have to somehow fit together. And then I think it also helps like manage the like complex data models, like when you have like lots of like entities and relationships, and like if your business is complex, then your data model is also. But then when you have like the whole like description of everything that you have like modeled in one place, it's like then like helps, like makes things less complicated when it's possible to like see how, for example, what dependencies you have between say different entities or loads, and what happens there, like daily when you are like pushing new data into your data warehouse, and you can like see the big picture and then also like drill down into some like individual piece of logic, and when you have that in one place, it makes like the developer's life easier, I would say. I'm not doing so much development myself, but maybe the data engineers can support that.
Do you regret that?
It's always like fun to code and solve technical problems, but yeah, I currently maybe try to avoid that, like not getting too deep into one any particular thing, as they're like many other things as well.
Becomes difficult then to manage this balance between management and doing, right?
Yeah, that's unfortunately true. I just wanted to mention that I feel like your distinction between complex and complicated was very good. I mean, at least with us, we have many developers who kind of light up when they see that, oh, we have this problem, we can do it this way and this way and this way, even though it might be complex, but it's not complicated.
See you. Do we have any questions from you, from the audience? You should take advantage of this. We have two fantastic, passionate data people here. There, if we have a question right here. I hope that's okay with you.
Sure. Yeah, sure.
Hello, thank you all for the presentation so far. You mentioned ADE, ADF, and Power BI in your solutions. Recently, with the changes Microsoft have been pushing, moving from Power BI Premium, I'm going to guess you guys had Power BI Premium, moving into Fabric and the solution there. Have you had any difficulties readjusting to this?
Well, I can go first. Well, we're having discussions about that. We're not completely sure yet what to do with all that, to be completely honest with you.
And well, we defined our setup before, Microsoft Fabric was like a common topic, and at the moment we're happy with the current setup, with this ADF in Azure and Power BI, and haven't considered changing the infrastructure, not at the moment.
Thank you. Any other questions here? What? No questions? Oh, we do.
Hi, I'm Ville from Solita, and I would like to ask from both of you that you are fresh with ADE projects, so kind of not 10 years yet. So have you kind of changed where you recruit new talent, and has the skill set you require from new recruits changed somehow? And did this shift to ADE, Snowflake ADEs, Microsoft change something? Thanks.
Skill sets, recruiting, that's a good one.
Yeah, I can go first. Development is driven by or we're using vendors to develop. And to be completely honest with you, I'm distanced myself completely from the recruiting, so I can't really give you an answer.
Good one. That's open and honest.
Yeah.
Can you?
Yeah, well, ADE is like a basic, like one of the tools that the data engineers are using most. So that's a requirement, I would say. We are also using external consultants for data development, and we're probably also a customer of Solita in this. So all the engineers working in our team, maybe with this background, have been very familiar also with ADE.
Yeah. Okay, very good. We're unfortunately already at the end. Hard to believe. Time flies when you're having fun.
Yeah, I was afraid I wouldn't have anything to say, but
I wasn't worried about that, Niko. So I would say these two gentlemen deserve a big round of applause, because I can tell you